if I had my business, which, my business was very small when I was 35. And
that's perfect. That's the person that I want that person's counsel.
But I could have easily the first 2 years that I ran my business, I didn't even earn any money. I had no income. I had to spend all my revenue on my rent, on my salaries. And the reason I was able to go into business is because I had personal savings. And how did I get personal savings? When I worked for an employer like Shearson Lehman, like we discussed, and I earned money, I didn't spend most of it. I saved it, right? And so I was able to use my savings to start my own business, and I was able to survive on those savings and some profits I had from an investment. I had invested early on in some cellular phone deal, and I made some money there back in the days where they were lottering off the cell signals. So I had some income from an investment. I had some savings from work, and that was able to tide me over for a couple of years where I earned no money. And I started a business, but so I was already used to earning no money at one point. I mean, if I would have maintained, as I've always maintained my business in a way that I can go without revenue. That and as an entrepreneur, as a businessman, that is a risk that you take as an entrepreneur. Is you may not get any money, but you may have to be on the hook for all sorts of costs. And so that's part of what you do as a business, is that you have reserves. And I've always operated my businesses where if I don't earn any income, I'm fine. I can cover my overhead with my past income. I can use that, right? Now, obviously, taxation diminishes people's ability to do that, but you can still do that. But I would not be looking for a government bailout. Look, I didn't take any of this money. I could have signed up and I could have got a bunch of money. I have several businesses that have employees that I have no intention of firing, so I could have got all this free money. But the problem is, I knew I didn't need the money, so I didn't want to say to the government I need the money. But look, I don't want to pay taxes. I'm in Puerto Rico now, right? When I was making a lot of that big money back then, half of it was going to the government. So I made a lot of money, but the government took half. Now the government's not taking any, at least the federal government, or very little of it. And so now I'm able to keep what I earn, but I'm earning the money. I'm earning it legitimately by providing services that people are voluntarily paying me to provide. My main business is asset management, where I manage people's money through individual accounts, through my mutual funds, which people can go to EuroPacificFunds.com to check out my mutual funds, or Euro Pacific Capital, Europac.com to look at having accounts with me. I have a bank here, Euro Pacific Bank, Schiff Gold, where we sell gold. So I'm in the market competing with other gold companies. I compete with other broker dealers and banks and asset management companies. And obviously there are people who choose to do business with me when they could do business with somebody else, but they choose to do business with me. Yeah, and people forget, when everybody thinks it's easy to be the businessman, like, oh, it's not fair. The workers, they need to share in the profits. The workers don't share in the risks. When people take a job, right, the easiest thing you can do is accept a job from somebody else, because now they are on the hook with paying you, right? They have to figure out how to cover the pay, right? You get a guaranteed salary, right, where the employer is going to pay you every Friday or every other Friday, whether he's got a profit or not. When you own a business, you are the last one to get paid. Right. You only get paid after you've paid everybody else. You've paid your workers their wages. You paid the landlord the rent. If you borrowed money, you paid interest to your lenders, right? Only if there's something left over do you make any money. And that is the risk that the entrepreneur is rewarded for taking. Because when you start a business, you have no idea if you're going to succeed or fail. Yep. And so if you succeed, you need to be paid for that. But you also then are responsible, as you're making money, not to just spend it all. Workers, okay, if you're going to live paycheck to paycheck, that's on you. But if you're the employer and you're living paycheck to paycheck, you're putting all of your workers at risk. You're putting your whole company at risk. So you don't do that. You save your money. But you have the Federal Reserve and the government coming in and encouraging debt, encouraging leverage, screwing up the system. But the entrepreneur deserves what he earns. But if he's not responsible enough to be a steward of capital and prepare for potential downturns, which always come, then the free market will clean house. And what happens is you learn by example. when people go bankrupt, not only does that send a message to the person who went bankrupt, but to all the other people of what you don't do. Here's an example of what not to do. Because if you run your business like this, you can lose your business. You can go bankrupt. But what we're doing now is we're rewarding the people who were reckless by bailing them out. And then we're telling the people who weren't reckless, you were a bunch of chumps. Why were you saving for a rainy day? Just wait for the government to bail you out. We're going to do the same thing with the state governments. If we bail out all these states that should fail, not only are we sending the bad message to those states, keep acting irresponsibly, we're telling the responsible states, you're a bunch of morons. You guys are idiots for acting responsibly. Cut taxes, increase government spending, because why should you be frugal? Because you're just going to be bailed out. We're going to just tax the other states to cover your profligacy.